Hi, this is Anthony, parent of IRS Medic, and I want to talk to you a little bit about citizenship and identity, who we are as people, and kind of how some of the things we put on can sort of make us feel about ourselves. And John had a tweet earlier that I gotta share with you because it really, I am familiar with this. Many of you hopefully don't have the intimacy that I do with the 1996 Dodge Stratus. This cracked me up because years ago I was helping out a buddy of mine, and he was going through a divorce, and he had four kids, and he needed help getting them around, and so I let him use my 2005 Ford Excursion diesel limited bulletproof, pretty nice truck. So I let him use it, and over the weekends. And so what he would do is he would was borrowing his mom's car, so he would drop that off, and he would take my Excursion. And his mom's car was that 1996 Dodge Stratus. And so here's the thing: when we talk about identity, because what I would do is I would show up to hockey games with this 1996 Dodge Stratus, and I had a bunch of successful guys around me, and I got to tell you, I don't know how good I played because the car was incredibly demoralizing. And this is the thing I'd give the one that you posted, John, way much better. There's actually a color to this one. I was borrowing a gray one that was anti-color and it was anti-life. And my friend wasn't doing so well. He was smoking cigarettes in it. So I would get in and it smelled like stale cigarette smoke. So here is, I understand, if you have to drive something that maybe not be, it's really reflective of what your personality is and what you want people to think of you, it's a little disconcerting. And I couldn't wait to get my truck back, I tell you. So I have a particular distaste for this 1996 Dodge Stratus. So John, with that little bit of a lead up, why did you decide to post a
Well,
1996 Dodge Stratus?
obviously, Anthony, because I must like the car. Now, that's actually not true. But let me tell you why I thought of this. It's not the first time I thought of it. But yesterday, I was doing, I had somebody who was getting ready to go through the final renunciation process next week.
Mhm.
It was really just, practically beside herself in pain over having to do this. And, you know, the the reality is that, for people who grew up in the United States, renunciation is a really, really difficult thing for a lot of them because, it's their identity that's tied into this. All my life, I've been a US citizen. It's just like all my life. It's so hard for me to imagine life not being a US citizen. And, like I do fully understand this because, I've helped so many people. I could put it, in a legal sense, like, with their legal issues that are surrounding this, but I don't see it that way. I see it as helping people transition to a new stage in life, where they solve problems and are happier, etc. But this situation yesterday was particularly upsetting. I mean, she was just out of her mind in pain, and I was, oh my God, what am I going to do about this? Sort of thing. And I remembered, and I've had these thought flashes a few times. So Anthony, I was never a high end guy like you. I never had expensive cars. I didn't have a
Yeah, I
Dodge
had a truck.
Stratus, but I did have the predecessor. So, I was aware of this, and I remember, so the Dodge Stratus, as you kind of confirm, was basically a very functional,
Soul sucking.
nondescript car.
It was
It
anti-personality.
was the type of car that if you were going to rob a bank, you probably want to drive away in a Dodge Stratus so nobody could identify the car. It was
They
something
wouldn't know what it was. They're like, I don't know. It was, yeah. It was,
like the
huh?
question was, how do you market something where basically you're trying, it's really aimed at, some guy, poor guy trying to make ends meet with two or three young kids trying to watch the hockey game and he can't because, it's too noisy, and so how do you market that car to that type of guy? And this is, I think, one of the most brilliant ads I'd ever seen. And I've never forgotten it. I couldn't find it online, but I've never
Okay.
forgotten it. There's this picture of this totally nondescript car, this Dodge Stratus. And by the way, what you're looking at in the tweet is the best. You're looking at it in its best possible light. Okay. Can imagine this thing dirty. But the ad was, it was incredible. You're not losing a sports car. You're gaining 2 doors. Oh my God. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. In other words, not focusing on the loss, but focusing on the gain. So yesterday in this conversation, this is a woman who is, I don't know, closer to my age than your age, probably anyway. So, she's been a US citizen her whole life. And I remember the Dodge Stratus, and I said to her, I got a question for you. Have you ever had a Dodge Stratus? And she looked at me as if I was, out of my mind.
I would, and I'm like, shut up. No, I haven't.
Do, right? And she said, no, but I know what the car is. And then I started talking about the ad. I said, now I'm going to tell you what the ad was for this car, and I want to know how you think it might apply to your situation. So the ad was, now she's going out of her mind. I'm going to lose my US citizen. I can't recognize myself. You're not losing a sports car. You're gaining 2 doors. So I asked her, I said, so how do you think that might apply to you? And she paused for a little bit. And then I said, and then I helped her along. I said, I'll tell you, you're a Canadian citizen. You've got total access to the United States, very, very easily. You don't want to live there anyway. I mean, you're perfectly happy living in Canada. And so really all that's happening is that, you're ending their regulatory hold on you. I mean, that's all that's happening, right? But I also said this, I understand you were born in the United States. I understand that you're a proud American through and through. And you know what the good news is? There's absolutely nothing about going in and renouncing US citizenship will ever change the US-ness in you. And that will go on for as long as you live, that yes, you will be able to say that you're an American, and you are not losing. You are not losing your identity as an American, but what you're gaining is the freedom from the regulatory regime. And I said again, it's like the Dodge Stratus. You're not losing a sports car. You're gaining 2 doors. You're not losing your identity as an American. Rather, you are gaining the freedom from the regulatory regime. And she paused. And I honestly thought it was probably my finest moment as a sort of a life transition counselor, if I can put it that way. Like she really related to it. And then I went a little further. And I said, now, you know what? So we agree that you're still going to be an American even after you renounce. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that not only are you still an American, but you actually have an enhanced form of American citizenship, because you can go to the United States, you can live as an American outside the United States without any of these problems. So you know what? I don't want you to see your renunciation next week as losing anything. I want you to see this as transitioning yourself into an enhanced status of US citizenship, a preferred status. And with that, she looked at me and said, my God, that's the best thing I've heard in years. Thank you so much for that, John. And what does it come down to, Anthony? It's kind of like this. For those who are concerned about an identity loss when you're renouncing US citizenship, nah, you're not losing your identity as an American. You're gaining the freedom from the regulatory regime. And depending on what citizenship you're left with, you may well be transitioning into what could be reasonably described as an enhanced form of American citizenship. What do you think of that, Anthony?
I think, John, you're one of the finest attorneys I know. I think you're one of the
I
finest
think
attorneys
that's beautiful. This is
and
Keith.
I wonder if you are also the finest used car salesman. I'm ready.
Well,
ready.
Anthony,
I think you might be.
I
think you got it.
Okay, I've got to tell you that, you and I sort of maybe converge on these tax issues, but, I've learned over the years that you're kind of a high-end guy. You drive expensive. You have a good lifestyle. I was born in the gutter. Have lived my.
Oh, please! My dad was a state employee. Please.
What's that?
My dad was a state employee.
I had a job. So, in any case, to not detract from the message here, I wanted to share that because I think that will help many, many people who are renouncing and trying to come to terms with the emotional aspect of this that is rarely discussed, and how to think of themselves. So you're not losing your American citizenship. You're actually becoming you're getting an enhanced form of citizenship. What do you think, Keith? Sound good?
It does. Like I said, I think that sounds beautiful what you did with that woman.
All
That's
right.
a great way of presenting it. Excellent way of
That's
presenting
a
it.
bit of a
So
one-off, a side one, and now we can move on. We'll stop this one and move on to the main event
Well,
for the
no, no, no,
day.
no, no, no,
Dr.
no,
T,
no,
any
no, no.
final
We're
thoughts?
no. I want to add one more thing here. I want to, I really want to add one more thing because I think it's really important what you're talking about here. And look, I'm a national expert at crisis intervention, and so you're following the steps. You're taking an honest inventory of the situation as is. You're removing the myths away from it. So essentially, you're saying, okay, as a U.S. person, you have a two-door Dodge Stratus. Is that really helping you? Is that helping you when you're showing up to hockey practice with your 1996 Dodge Stratus with your high end friends? You're like, oh, you have the two-door one. No, that doesn't help you at all. And so taking the realistic situation of what it is and saying, well, it's not a sports car. So why don't we just make it more practical with four doors? And now it's just more better of the thing that it is. And that's exactly right. And this is the point of what I would say is, if I was going to put the United States, the actual Dodge Stratus, it would be a two-door Dodge Stratus with fake wood paneling, a rear spoiler, and it would have that vinyl wrap roof, lots of fog lights, probably a lift, and it would be, and some fuzzy dice. And don't try to flag on me on the back. That's actually what it would be more like, something that is dressed up to be something it's not underneath a platform, just the most benign or just the most uninspiring platform. And that's, I think, the point, what people need to understand. And it's truly, and this is the reason why I brought it up, is since we restarted this podcast in June, my mind has been opened to the real truth of this founding of this country. I used to believe our own BS on this, that there was a golden age back when, if we only could return to that. That golden age actually never existed except in our mythology. And so that is the truth. Our U.S. citizenship is not us, right? It's not us. I don't want a U.S. citizenship. I'm an American, and that can't be undone.
You're a proud American, but the citizenship thing is a different issue. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that is for sure. I am not
Anyway,
negligent.
final point here. If anybody has a Dodge Stratus in reasonable condition, give me a call. I think I should buy one and make it the official symbol of the U.S. renunciation.
There you go. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Thank you so much for everyone for